Hello, hello Capricorn. Welcome to your January 2020 overview reading. This is good for you if you're a sun, moon, or rising. And make sure you stay tuned until the end because I have a bonus card because it is your season. And you guys know I do an extra card for whichever season we're in. Happy birthday to those of you who either have birthdays coming up or who have already had their birthday. I'm wishing you nothing but wonderful things this solar year. I know that with everything going on with YouTube, a lot of people have been missing my videos, so make sure you sign up for my newsletter. It is delivered to you weekly. I keep you up to date on everything going on, offer you special goodies, and don't forget that you get a free Dealing with Family meditation when you sign up for my newsletter. Okay, and then also to each and every one of you who watch my videos, subscribe. I am so grateful that you are here. Thank you so much. I am absolutely honored to be doing this work for you all. And to those of you who work with me one-on-one, I am beyond grateful for you because you are the reason why this channel is possible. You are the reason why I'm able to do this work. If you would like to support this channel, because I don't monetize these videos, please consider working with me, getting a reading from me, working with me in some capacity, sending me a testimonial, or just sharing my work. I really appreciate all of that. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead. I'm going to lay this spread out and then we will get started. All right, let's start with your oracle cards. First thing we have coming up is originality, blaze your own trail. This has a lot of air energy to it in terms of the element that this kind of embodies when I'm looking at it. And so this is about doing things your own way, carving your own path, doing things that might be unconventional. It's okay if you're misunderstood. That's the one thing that you're going to have to keep in mind since this card is coming up. Do not fight with people or try to wrestle people into understanding you. It's not going to work. If you're doing something unconventional, you just kind of have to own it. That's the only way you're going to be able to cope with things. So make sure that you really own this part of yourself and just trust it. I just had to adjust these cards a little bit. It was irritating me. Okay, so then the animal card for you is raccoon. I'm getting recycle with this. Maybe you have an old idea that you kind of want to revisit, or maybe there's something that you've been wanting to try for a really long time but you never got around to it. This is going to be a good month to do that. Try things out, experiment, feel it out, and just make attempt after attempt after attempt. And then we have ritual, seek joy in repetition, explore the sacredness of the task at hand, be intentional with your time. Okay, so this is definitely a reflection of consistency. What are you being consistent with? What is it that you're needing to do on a regular basis? This is all about the repetitive nature of whatever you're dealing with is what's going to lead you to results. This is also true for healing, right? So if you're on a healing path, you can't do something one time and expect results. You really have to keep chipping away at it, keep showing up for it. That's an important part of the process. All right, what you have shifting out, or excuse me, this is past, present, and future. I know I usually do it differently, but this is in the past position. We have the Emperor. So this is highlighting discipline to me. Like, oh, there was a lot of energy around having to show up, being consistent in that energy, and then kind of like white knuckling your way through something. There's a lot of intensity and harshness coming off of this card, so I'm reading it a little bit more as the shadow side of the Emperor in terms of just having to force your way or like plowing through something. Let's see what's coming up with the present time. Four of Coins. Okay, So you can tell this is a really sleepy card. There's somewhat of a Four of Swords energy to this, honestly, just because of how cold and frosted over it is. Generally, this is about conserving your energy or being mindful. And so again, going back to the recycle idea with this raccoon is kind of like investigating anything that you may have left unfinished. So I think there's a lot of completion energy happening here. There's a lot of needing to go back, tie up any loose ends that might still be hanging out, and taking care of this before you keep going into 2020 is going to be a really important part of your process. So honor this stage. I'm also getting that rest is going to be really important. Being mindful of how much energy you're giving to other people, that's going to be really important. So there's a lot of like conservative with your energy, conservative with your resources, conservative with all of the things that you might be giving to others, and that's really going to help you. And then the future energy, we have the Four of Swords. Okay, so that is definitely why I was picking that up there. And so this is also why, and now it's all making sense, right? Because I'm like, man, this is just a really harsh Emperor energy, even the color. And it's interesting when I do psychic readings for people. If you don't know, I do regular cold psychic readings. This is like a frustration and burnout color. It's like that really harsh burnt orange. And so this is definitely highlighting that from when I do my regular readings with people. And so this is, you can tell this is hot and then this is cool. This is like a cool down period in January, relaxing into all of the things that kind of need to be done. And giving back to yourself is a really important part of this as well. So I think you're just pulling back a lot of your energy and recouping, and this is going to extend for a while. Now let's take a look at what's going on in an external environment, so outside of yourself. We have Three of Coins. There's plenty of opportunities to work on things. This is, you know, I'm going to build it. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make it a reality. I'm gonna put pen to paper. That's the energy of this. But let's see what else is coming up with it. Okay, the Eight of Coins. So I'm not surprised that there's a whole bunch of work energy coming off of this, but it's kind of like there's always going to be the opportunity for you to add stuff to your to-do list. There's always going to be 50,000 projects to work on. There's always going to be all of that. So I think that in order for this to work with you, an important thing that you're going to have to consider is what's the path of least resistance in January, so that you can honor your body's request to perhaps cool down. That might be a necessary part for you. That's what's coming off of the reading, is that you don't want to stay in this energy for very much longer. If you are, this is like, I'm going to burn out, I'm going to crash. So this is kind of like a warning, like, hey, if you don't pay close attention to your energy levels and how stressed out you are, how intensely you're running heat, all of that stuff is going to be an important thing to keep your eye on. And I'm just getting that the outside world is saying, hey, there's always more work to do. There's always more projects. There's always more things to get done. And so you're going to want to be really careful with that. And then we have Strength. Yep, so there is a level of discipline that's required in order for you to not revert back into those patterns, especially if you have a tendency to burn yourself out. You know, Capricorn energy likes to work, generally speaking. And so just be mindful of how much energy you're giving, if it makes sense, if it's worth it, or if it's not. So the best way to deal with this potential work energy is for you to just evaluate for yourself. Is this helpful? Is this harmful? Is this a waste of energy? Ask yourself what you're going to get out of this. Whatever comes up in January, whatever opportunities, I recommend not saying yes to everything, but instead closely keeping an eye on which opportunities are worth taking, what's actually worth working on, and making sure you take breaks when you need to. Now let's look at your internal world, your emotional world. Ace of Coins. Wanting to plant the seed. I just see this as It's like you want more, or you want to get started, you want to get the ball rolling, which completely makes sense. You know, the Ace of Coins is just the ambitious part of you. You know, you have a lot of coins on the table to begin with. You have a lot of earth on the table. I'm just telling you right now, this is where I'm like, you have to be careful. You have to really know when to slow down and when to speed up. You're the only one who can really evaluate that for yourself. So of course, internally, I think you're going to be in a space of like, oh, I could do this, I could do that, I could start this project, I could apply to this job, I could do this thing over here. Take your time deciding how much energy you're actually going to give this if you do decide to take the plunge. Okay, then we have the advice for you, the Magician. I'm going to clarify this one, because this is, you know, actively creating, actively manifesting, kind of claiming your right to create is the best way I can describe it. And then we have the Fool. So this is definitely showing you've got time, I think, is the main thing that's coming up here. Is like the Fool, the opportunity for a new, fresh energy always exists. It's not something that's just going to disappear or go away overnight. Opportunities, especially with Capricorn energy, I don't actually think it's hard for you guys to manifest the things that you want, especially when we're talking about the material world. That's something that you have a tendency to be really good at naturally. And so the Magician, the nice thing about this is that it actually requires you to do the energetic work, which has a greater demand for rest. So if you do want to manifest the things that you need and that you want, you do have to honor the Four of Coins, the Four of Swords, this slow down, cooling energy, so that you can actively create from an energetic space, and then things are going to grow from there. So just honor this, and everything else is going to fall into place. Get out of this hot temperature. Once you're able to do that, I think things are going to blossom. It's just about being able to pull your mind away from wanting to overfunction. Let's get into the timeline. First, second, third, and fourth quarter. So here is the first quarter of January. You have the King of Pentacles. I'm kind of annoyed with this card, honestly, because it's like, yeah, we know. This is your natural state, right? Being able to put in the work, being able to put in the hours, having mastery over the material is what earth signs across the board have an easier time doing. So for you, it's like you come in with this mastery of the material angle. But let's see how January progresses. So the second quarter, we have the Nine of Chalices. This is wishes fulfilled, dreams coming true. The desires that you have, it just seems like those are really presenting themselves to you as attainable and achievable is the best way I can describe it. Like, yes, it's possible you can get the things that you want. I caution you, if you stay in this Emperor energy for too long, it's going to be something that you're either going to actively rest and intentionally give yourself time and space to rest, or the universe is going to do it for you. And it's going to force you into a position where you have to rest. That's often what I find people is like, that's where you see people like, it's the middle of summer. Why am I getting sick? You know, or why am I burnt out? Why am I dealing with fatigue? It's staying in this energy way too long, more than what your body can actually handle. So this is just saying things are actually better off than you might realize. Give yourself a little bit of time to recoup in January. And then the third quarter, we have the Three of Wands. Yeah, so all of this is reminding you that you're still building. You're doing all of that so long as you pay attention to your body. So think about, like, if you were to actually rest, if you were to take a break, how much energy would you be able to conjure up from that space, and then from there actually be able to get more done? Your productivity would probably shoot through the roof. And then the fourth quarter, we have the Empress. So again, Like we have, this is transitioning January to February. And this is the receiving card. The Empress is about kind of laying back and just taking a feminine approach to things where you're just letting it be easy, letting the rest kind of exist so you can call things to you rather than trying to force yourself into a position where you're overexerting yourself. So that's what this is all about. This is feminine. This is more masculine of a tone. And so it seems like you kind of need to balance that out a bit, allow things to be easier, allow things to come to you, allow. And that is going to make a big difference in January. Okay, let's do a 3-card pick. You're welcome to ask a question, ask for clarity. You can get clear on whatever it is you need. Pick as few or as many cards as you'd like. If you need more time, pause the video. Card number 1, we have the Knight of Wands. Okay, so this is a lot of energy. It's funny that it's sitting on top of the Emperor card. But this is, I'm getting boredom off of this. So you might want to be careful with shiny object syndrome. Like, oh, I'm going to ditch this thing that I've been working on and I'm just going to start something else. Or it's also pointing me to ritual, like seek joy in repetition. Keep working on the thing that you want rather than jumping ship. Because the Knight of Wands has a tendency to bail prematurely. And so you don't want to be in that space. And then this could also be giving you some insight as to a person. Careful, because this is super flaky energy. I wouldn't recommend, putting too much of an investment in it if you're asking about a person. Don't invest too much in that person. They need to show up first. They really need to prove their worthiness first before I would spend a lot of energy on that. Okay, card number 2, we have the Hierophant. Boundaries. I'm getting that it's boundaries with overworking. It's boundaries with yourself. Boundaries with, as I said, how much energy you are actively giving this situation or the project. You're the only one who can say no and actively pull yourself back. Card number 3, we have the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands is kind of like you're moving so fast that you might actually start getting into a space where you're feeling more hiccups and more speed bumps. So be careful, because this is again a warning about burnout. Be careful in January. Do not burn yourself out. Get ahead of the curve. Take breaks even when you feel like you can keep going. It's going to prevent you from tripping over yourself and overexerting yourself. And so this is just saying that don't go too fast right now. It's something that you want to kind of slow down to speed up. All right, and then this is the bonus card for your season. Okay, what do we have? This is an oracle card. I just felt like this is what you guys needed. Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? Okay, using your energy as an example for others is going to be a really important, it's going to be an important factor here. I would also ask you, for those of you who have kids, right? Your kids are going to model your behavior. So the way that you care for yourself, the way that you speak to others, the way that you are in the world is something that's going to be directly modeled to your children. And so that's something that you can also consider as like, okay, how can I clean up my own behavior in order to model the best things for the people around me? Same thing if you own a company, if you're running an organization of any kind, or if you're in a managerial position. The people underneath you are going to take what you do and model that as well. Because a lot of the time that's top down. So just consider that and keep that in mind. Is like, it starts with you. It's not about what you say, it's about what you do and how you do it. So pay close attention to that. All right, everybody, that is all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Onyx Healing. I also host prayers and a tarot poll every Wednesday on my podcast, so make sure you check that out. Sunday messages, the link is in the description box. And until next time, don't forget, if you want to support the channel, you're more than welcome to work with me. Head over to onyxhealing.com to see all of the goodness that I offer. And I will talk to you all later. Have a beautiful month, everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye.